This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the Town of North Haven.
Good evening. Welcome to the March Board of Police Commission meeting. My name is Dave Mons. To my left is Vice Chairman Larry Lazaroff. To his left is Secretary Robin Wilson. To my right is Mark Calafiore. And to his right is Commissioner Alden Mead. So may I have a motion for approval of the minutes for the February 26, 2019 meeting, both regular and executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Being none, all in favor?
Aye.
May I have a motion for approval of the monthly reports for February 2019?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Secretary Wilson, correspondence?
Okay, we have 3 pieces of correspondence. The first one being a very lovely note that was written longhand, which is very nice, in reference to a couple in town who had a fraudulent charge on their Sears card for $1,000 and change. And after trying for quite a while to fix it, they finally came to the police department. And I'm just going to quote a couple of their comments here. They were welcomed by Officer Jonathan Dahlstrom, who was very kind, attentive, and concerned about their dilemma. And he went further and did some reporting back to Sears, and at that point, Detective Michael Harton took over and went above and beyond and actually finally took care of the situation. So they were very grateful, and they said to the chief, "I cannot express enough gratitude and appreciation for these 2 officers' hard work, and you should be very proud to have 2 wonderful police officers on your staff." So I thought that was worthy of mentioning a couple of their quotes. That was very nice of them to do that. And we know we have a great police department. The South Central Criminal Justice Administration is a thank you letter from Charles Sherwood, the director, for allowing Officer Paulus Lakaitis to serve as a panelist at the recently completed oral board examination for the position of recruit police officer. Your continued cooperation significantly contributes to the goal, which is essential to continuing the oral board examination process. And the last one is referencing Sergeant DePascal from Traffic, and it's from Bernie Pellegrino, and they're thanking the police department and the fire department from the 2019 North Haven High School girls lacrosse team and coaching staff for helping to make their 3rd annual Super Bowl Sunday road race a success. Thanks to all the guys who were on site yesterday. You did a great job making the course safe for our participants. So, that was it.
Thank you, Robin. Very briefly, the chairman's report. I just have a couple comments on one issue. I think as virtually everyone in town knows, earlier this month on March 11th, a pedestrian was hit by an automobile and fatally injured on Ridge Road in the vicinity of the intersection with Dixwell Avenue. To the family and friends of the victim, please accept our heartfelt condolences and our deepest sympathy. And to those who live or travel through this area, rest assured that the police department is actively assessing options that may improve safety in that area. And to that end, we'd welcome input from residents who live in that area, as some of the commission members do, or who travel through that area. Keep in mind that this is a deliberative process and there are limitations on what we can and can't do, but any constructive input would be appreciated. Chief?
Okay. Again, just to keep with our ongoing PSAs, our public service notices to lock your car's door and at night. Our numbers have gone down over the past couple months. We have a slight uptick, but all in all, it's much better than the year past. And again, we want to remind our residents of the potential telephone and internet scams. We were contacted as recent as yesterday from the Social Security Administration. They're now getting hit with people that are looking to update folks' information. Again, if anybody is reaching out to you and trying to get some type of information from you relative to any personal information as far as your dates of birth, your social security numbers, any type of banking numbers, if it's anybody that's looking to reach out to identify themselves as a member of law enforcement or the federal government, and they want you to pay some type of a fee, especially if it's a gift card or something along that line, the red flag should go up. We want you to just hang up. You can certainly notify us, and we'll verify that it is in fact a scam for you. Just two quick congratulations that I just wanted to make public, and one was to offer our public congratulations to our supervisory assistant state's attorney, Jim Turcott, out of GA7. That's Meriden, that's where we do all our court business. He's been a prosecutor for approximately 35 years, and he is retiring on March 29. And for the folks in our area, in North Haven, as well as the state of Connecticut, he's been a great advocate for the state of Connecticut and the folks here. He's been a great resource for our police officers and our investigators. And Jim's he's all aces, and we wish him the best. Also, Detective Mike Harton, as he was mentioned earlier, I guess every once in a while you get these words and these things that come into their vogue, and one of the things now is the analogy of the Swiss Army knife, and he's our Swiss Army knife guy. He does these extra little things, and earlier this month in March, Mike was working a special detail down at the Cinemark on Universal Drive when a mother came out and approached him with a 2-month-old infant that had stopped breathing. Mike had helped resuscitate the infant, and as a result, he's being recognized by the Police Commissioners Association of Connecticut on May 29th for his life-saving efforts there. So, to our Swiss Army knife guy, Harton, that's a good congratulations.
Do you know where it's taking place?
I believe it's going to be in Orange, or I'm sorry, Stratford,
Yeah, I have the information.
and we can get that to you. The regular stuff, the budget, our budget, we're within our budget range. We're trending right now. We're still within that 2% number that I'd like to be at this point in the year. So we're pretty confident that we'll end our fiscal year on June 30th, and we're gonna be spot on. So that's a good thing, absent any unusual occurrences. As far as the Walter T. Benary Scholarship, I have no request for consideration for this month. Our uniform services and ISU, nighttime burglaries, again, we had them last month and continuing into the March. This is we've been getting hit down in the south end of our town, and it's restaurant type establishments. It's pretty consistent and similar MOs as incidents that are happening in neighboring East Haven and Branford. So, we're working with our cohorts in those towns to put something together. And last I heard, they have a suspect kind of lined up, but it's still early and a little preliminary start beating anybody's chest right now, but we have an idea of who's involved there. On the opposite side, our residential burglaries and robberies, and I don't want to jinx ourselves, you know, they're almost non-existent. I mean, we've been very, very fortunate this year with our robberies and our home burglaries. Support services and traffic is, and as the chair had mentioned earlier, we did have that fatality on Ridge Road. It was in the area of Hickory Hill. It's still under investigation. We're waiting at this point results from the state lab as it relates to the physical evidence that's been submitted for examination. We're also awaiting a return of information from the cell carrier of a person of, I suppose we'd call him a person of interest at this point, somebody that we have identified as a potential suspect, and we want to get copies of the cell phone records, and all this was secured with search warrants, and now at this point it's in the hands of the state just to get that information back to us. There's going to be comparisons for whether it's the physical evidence at the accident scene or anything else. So that we should have a more, hopefully for next month, to report back to you. Oddly enough, the morning of that accident, we were up on Ridge Road in the area of the firehouse on West Ridge, running radar. And since that time, we've deployed the radar 18 additional times up there, just to give the folks up there some sense of comfort. But again, that's a roadway that we would identify as a collector roadway. It's a main artery. It collects traffic not only from the side streets, but it also collects traffic from people that are trying to avoid State Street, Dixwell Avenue, Whitney Avenue. So you're looking at roughly, according to the DOT records, about 4,000 cars a day on that section of roadway. So, it's a lot of cars up there. Our records and professional standards. This past month, we did have department-wide active shooter training, and what we did was we trained with other departments, police departments that are part of our South Central Compact. And for the benefit of the Newark Commissioner, the South Central Compact is the 6 towns of North Haven, North Branford, East Haven, Branford, Guilford, and Madison. The 6 towns, what we do is we share resources for a traffic division for major crashes and for things like fatalities, and we also share the personnel and staffing and resources for our SWAT team. So the SWAT members that train frequently actually were the trainers, so to speak, for that day. And we were able to train with these officers, not only our own, but from other departments. Because these are the folks that you're going to rely on in a crisis situation. When you put out for some type of a mutual aid, these are the folks that are going to come and they're going to be working with you in a major situation. I think some of the feedback that we received, it was really a good reflection on our regional team. A lot of the officers had indicated that they thought they saw the benefit of working with other police officers from the neighboring towns, especially if, like I said, in a crisis situation, you call on them, you're going to know how each one of us is going to. We're trained the same to react to some type of a situation. So that was training that was well spent. As far as our new people, Officer De Palma has completed his field training as of this afternoon, and he will be on solo patrol by the end of the week. Officer Brandon Burke graduates from post tomorrow, and then he'll go into his 10-week field training. And Officer Stevens is doing well down at the Post Satellite Academy in Milford. And Officer Santiago Mateo starts his post-training a week from Friday. So you can see right there, we have 4 really fresh and brand-new people. So it's going to be interesting if any other openings pop up. You know, we've gotten young really quick, except for a few of us. As far as our radio and building schedule, our construction of the new building continues to move forward. We're pleased at this point with a lot of the work that's been done so far. We've got all of our windows in, there's walls up, they're being painted. They're at a point now where they're starting to lay some tile floor in some of the locker rooms and the restrooms. We've had lockers, as far as the furniture pieces of the lockers for the men's locker room, the women's locker room, they're in place. So we're looking at our target date of July 1. That's supposed to be repopulated, and we'll see how that shakes out. You'll also notice probably the biggest change, the new monopole's been erected over there. I know I had one phone call on it from Commissioner Lazaroff, and he said, "Boy, it's big," but that's the new wave. It's new technology. It's not really that overbearing when you look at the way it's positioned and tucked into the building. I think it's you know, it's gonna be state of the art. It's gonna be something that's, I think the town and the police department can be proud of for the next 30 years. We shouldn't have to worry about a lot of these things, so we should be able to get that behind us. The only other things I have at this point would be for the executive session to discuss some personnel matters, and unless our guests want to say
Yeah,
anything else.
anything from the deputy?
No, sir.
We have a couple residents in attendance. Would you like to make any comments?
We did already.
You did?
I
Okay.
think we did.
You sure?
Positive.
Okay. And again, if there's something that you see or want, you know, let us know. Not that we can make promises, but I always say we can't make promises, but we can make effort. You know,
Does the money that they get from speeders, does that go to the state or the town?
it goes to the state.
It goes to the state, oh,
Yeah.
that's what.
And there are certain violations that we get there is a little bit of a surcharge that does go back to the town, but it's insignificant, and it certainly doesn't come back to the police department. It goes to the general fund.
To
So,
them,
yeah, I think the spirit of, I don't want to get into the politics, so, you know, because I'm apolitical, and I sometimes hurt everybody's feelings, but I think the spirit of all that was, when it was originally crafted up in Hartford, it was supposed to go back to the police department to increase your enforcement and your training efforts,
Oh, sure,
and to
yeah.
buy your equipment, but somehow it always went into the coffers at the towns, so. But certainly, we'll I wrote down what you told me earlier. We'll put somebody out there, we'll address it, and.
Come over and visit, come over and visit. Just come over and visit.
Yeah, we'll take care of it.
During rush hours.
It's all
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
late
All day
at
long.
night.
Well, usually, I'm guessing it's probably gonna be morning and afternoon.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's late at night too.
Yeah,
He stands out there sometimes, he goes like this.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like this, like, someone's gonna shoot you someday.
Okay, we'll take care of you.
Well, all right, thank you.
And if we don't, stay on us, give us a call,
Okay.
all right?
Thank you, thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Yeah, we're done.
Anything from the commissioners?
Yeah, actually, switching gears a little bit, the union contract, is that up this year?
Yes,
July 1?
June 30.
Okay. Any headway on that? Do you know where we stand on that? Any negotiations, and are you in that?
As far as I know, the police union just changed
Leadership?
the representation for their, so where they're going at this point, I think their new attorneys and the new union have got to put together some type of a game plan. They reach out to the town, and they normally will ask them that, hey, listen, the contract's coming due, and we want to start to negotiate. It's not uncommon,
Right, that's gonna go past June 30th.
it's not uncommon for them to just send a letter back and forth, and nothing will transpire until probably September, October, to be honest with you.
So let's just work off the old contract.
Correct.
During that time.
That's very common.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think the town's clerical union just recently settled, and that was probably about 4 years expired.
Really?
It's almost like they get a settlement, and by then, you almost have to start renegotiating for next year again. So,
All right.
Anything else, Mark? No. Have a motion to move to executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. So we're back in regular session. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.